Hi everyone, I have a Goldwave GW-10 solder fountain, and I bought it used off of eBay for about 1,500 bucks. I've used it quite a lot, but I needed to do a little bit of maintenance, so I thought this might be a good time to give you a little demo of the unit. Alright, so I have it taken apart here to some extent. Basically have the top panel that usually is over the top of the pot is off now. And I've also got the front panel off to expose the drive mechanism. So one of the things I wanted to show you was just kind of what the size of the pot looked like and stuff. And this looks like it's maybe bigger than it is, but it actually has a slant to it. So it's shallower in certain places than others. But the idea is that there's this impeller here. It's driven by a belt motor, and there's a little foot switch here. I'll show it to you in a little bit, but basically stand on the switch and the motor runs, and then it basically there's a little pressure chamber under there, and it runs molten solder up through this fountain, and then this is where you would end up putting your circuit boards and stuff to do soldering. So that's what I use it for, is doing 10-pin soldering and also a bunch of desoldering work and that sort of thing. But I had not seen this on YouTube and how it worked. The videos aren't that great. Sometimes they're all in Chinese and stuff like that. So anyway, this is how this particular solder fountain works, and I'll put it together and show you how it performs. Actually, one more thing before I put the lid back on. I wanted to show you how these nozzles work. So this was something that was confusing to me. I didn't understand. I knew that there were nozzles. You could get different shapes. These are made out of titanium. They're not cheap. They're anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks each. This one came with it. But what you do if you want to change it is, once the solder is hot, you can actually twist this off and then pull it. And notice that I've got a pair of barbecue gloves, so these can resist quite a lot of heat, although it is getting a little warm under here while I'm holding on to it. But you can at least manipulate it, and I would definitely recommend getting some of those. But see if we can get this off. Alright, so that's what a nozzle looks like underneath. So, you know, there's some metal work here. It's not like you can easily go make one of these yourself, but it is possible, and I wanted to show you kind of how it actually fit on there, because it wasn't clear to me either how easy it was to change or even how to do it. One of the things you'll see pictured a lot is some standards and things that would hook into spots, and then little lasers and sometimes entire substructures here that can hold circuit boards. When I bought this machine, I didn't have any of that. None of that came with it. So probably if you wanted to, you could fabricate your own stuff there. Honestly, this is not exactly a precision instrument, so I'm not sure how useful that would be. But what I'm going to do now is to show you a little bit about how doing some rework would work. So what I'm going to do is take some power supplies that I want to recover the voltage regulators on, as well as a big capacitor, and we're going to use the fountain to soften up that solder and pull the parts off and get some parts back. Alright, so I'm standing on the foot pedal now, and here comes the fountain. So this is where you can see it's nice to have the barbecue gloves, because if you had your regular hands in here, this would be really hot. So compared to, you know, like a desoldering iron or something like that, this is just immensely easier and much faster to do. So that's basically one of the tasks that I do on it, is rework stuff or salvage parts and things like that. One of the things you'll see is there's some oxidation that occurs on the bubble there, and I'll use just a paint scraper that's a stainless steel blade, run it across there, and it'll kind of even out that flow. Alright, so one thing I wanted to show you was really just how great this is at doing some 0.1 inch header soldering. I haven't had much luck with doing dual headers, but it does a great job at 0.1 inch stuff. What I have here is a little circuit board that I've made. I've actually already done the 10-pin header on it, but what it's got is a thing called a Lucky Light. You can buy those at Adafruit, or there's a company in China called Lucky Light that sells all sorts of LEDs, and this is one of their products. But basically you've got gosh, I guess it's about 20 pins here. So what I want to do is be able to save time by doing instead of doing hand soldering, doing this as a fountain instead. So what I've got is some Kester 951 solder flux, and we'll do these kind of one at a time. So I just dribble a little bit of that over the pins, and then we'll set this in. And if you do it just right and pull it out, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I'll get a closer up shot later, but we just did 10 pins in like no time flat there. So I'll do this back side at the same time. Yeah, looks good. Alright, so I just finished up, and I probably recovered maybe $500–600 worth of voltage regulators and caps and stuff like that. So this machine has paid for itself pretty fast.